Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you. So, today we're talking about dark skin. We're talking about dark skinned girls who basically don't know how to use their dark skinness or just, their skin tone to their advantage to be able to get what they want in life. I come across a lot of dark skinned women who always just make it seem like it's always harder for us to get certain stuff in life because we're darker skinned, and it's always harder. I'm sorry, my cat is in the back. He just opened the door. My cat just opened the door, whatever. So, anyways, my thing with being dark skinned is, first of all, if you believe, everything is mental, okay? So I'm gonna start there. Everything is mental. So if somebody tells you you're not pretty enough because you're dark skinned, if you believe that you're not pretty enough because you're dark skinned, then you're not pretty enough because you're dark skinned. Okay? People will always try to project their feelings on you just because of how they feel about themselves. Like, for myself, I am a very dark skinned woman. I grew up in a Haitian household where we don't get like, we have never had to deal with, oh, you're lighter or you're darker. Because I realized that in the Black African American community, it's a thing where they will point out the lighter skinned kid in the house because they're lighter. So they will tell them that they're prettier because they're lighter. That has never been a thing in my family. So therefore, I cannot really speak too much on that. But I have seen it in other cultures and other people that I hang out with where they feel some type of way. They don't feel confident enough because they're dark skinned. Let me tell you something. When I walk into a room, when I leave my house every single day, I leave my house feeling like I am the best looking woman on this planet. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care how you feel about my skin tone, but I feel like I'm the best looking woman on this planet because of my self-esteem. And I've learned to build up my self-esteem over the years. I wasn't born with like this kind of self-esteem that I have now, but I definitely worked on it so I can do better, because I realized that in this country, or in this environment that we live in, a lot of people just assume like you're not pretty enough just because you're dark skinned. I have seen a lot of light skinned women who can't even stand next to me compared to looks. Okay? So just because you're light skinned does not make you better looking than me because I'm dark skinned. So, like I said before, it is all mental. As long as you believe that you don't look good enough because you're dark skinned, then that's exactly what it is. And if you believe that you look amazing, you're the best woman walking, you are a 10 in the eyes of everybody because that's what you believe, honey, that's what you are. And the minute that you actually start believing in it really, really hard, like, oh my God, I'm not as pretty as this girl because I'm dark skinned, people are going to notice it. People notice self-esteem from a mile away. I can tell a girl is not comfortable with her skin, or she's not comfortable with the dress that she wears, because she projects that. You might not notice that you do that, but you do that, and people do notice that. So for all of my chocolate sisters out there who just feels like they're not good looking enough because they're dark skinned, sweetie, that's a lie. That's a lie that we as people in the Black community have project on each other, and that is what it's going to be until you decide to break that cycle, until you decide, okay, I'm going to do whatever is best for me. If you feel like you have to put a new hair to make yourself feel better, you do that. If you feel like you need to get your nails done, you do that. Because if you're not happy with how you look, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be happy. A man's not going to make you happy. Your parents are not going to make you happy because you don't feel comfortable enough when you look in the mirror. You don't feel beautiful when you look in the mirror. So therefore, you're always going to be in that funk. You're always going to be in that hole where you feel like you can't get this. You can't have a man who has enough money or a good amount of money because you're dark skinned. You can't get a rich man, or, a good boyfriend who's going to treat you good because you're dark skinned. And a lot of things that I have noticed too, a lot of people try to mistreat dark skinned women worse. They try to treat them worse because they feel like their self-esteem is low and they don't have confidence enough. So therefore they just automatically think, okay, well, I can get what I need from this girl because she doesn't think she's beautiful enough to have standards, or she doesn't think she's beautiful enough to say no. That is not true. Not all black women or not all dark-skinned people are just giving themselves up just because they feel like they're too dark or they're not pretty enough. Not every light-skinned woman is easy or is harder to get because they're light-skinned. I've met a lot of light-skinned people who are hella easy. Not saying every light skin is, but I've met a lot of light skinned girls who are super, super easy. They don't have any standards. They don't feel like they're beautiful, but they're light skinned and everybody just treat them better because they're light skinned, you know? So therefore, if I said that to say this, your confidence has a lot to do with it. If you don't like the skin that you're in, change it. And if you cannot change it, then learn to live with it. Learn to embrace it. For example, myself, a lot of people in high school used to think I was weird. I was crazy. Not crazy, but weird. I do things outside of the box. I don't do the things like the norms of the society. I don't do things like norms of society. That's what I meant to say. But over time, people just kind of start to just get used to that. Okay, that's just how she is. She is just different. So with me being different, now it's considered cute, special, because I've embraced that. I've embraced that part of my body or that part of me that is different. And for me, as a dark-skinned woman, I have high standards. I will not take some shit from people, and some stuff, you know, is okay. But most people will say, oh, she thinks she's all that. Oh, she thinks she's special, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I'm special, and people are going to treat you according to how you allow them to treat you. So therefore, if you feel like you don't have the confidence because you're dark skinned, then people are going to walk all over you. Okay? So you need to start stepping up. And just because you're dark skinned does not mean you're ugly. Just because you are not as light as the next girl in the building, if you walk in there exuding the beauty that you know you have inside or you know you have outside, if you have to put on some makeup to have that beauty so you can exude when you walk in, honey, like you are Michelle Obama or what's the name of Trump's wife. You just walk in as that, and that's how people are going to treat you. I have a group of friends where there's one that's prettiest and there's one that's darkest, whatever. People will treat you based on your self-esteem, based on your how you carry yourself, based on, like, you know, your confidence. I've seen that. I have different friend group where I hang out with lighter, I hang out with darker, I hang out with white girls, I hang out with black girls, I hang out with Spanish girls. I have never felt any less than. And guess what? No one has ever treated me less than, because that's not what I'm putting out there. And just because you're dark skinned does not mean you cannot have any standards. You need to set your standards. People are going to treat you according to your standards. Okay? I have never had a problem finding a man. I have never had a problem finding a man who will treat me good, because I have standards. I have things that I will not take from a person, and I have things that I will let fly. But at the end of the day, you're going to treat me with respect. Just because I'm dark skinned does not make me any different than the next girl. Like, for example, people will say, if you go talk to a fat girl, they will give it up because they're easy, because they don't have the attention that most people do because they're overweight. Well, if you feel like you are the best looking 800-pound girl in this world, honey, you are the best looking 800 pounds. That's a little big. But it's a little big. But you know, moral of the story is, people do notice that if your self-esteem is low, people notice from a mile away. People also notice if your self-esteem is high from a mile away. People notice if you let them treat you however because of how you look. People notice if you don't have any standards. People know that, because you're going to either allow them to get away with it, or you're going to step up for yourself and say something. I have never gotten any comments where they'll say, oh, you're pretty for a dark skinned girl. Excuse me? No, you mean I'm pretty? Thank you, I am pretty, but I'm not pretty for a dark skinned girl. I'm just pretty, period. End of story. And that's how I've always lived my life. And I'm glad that my family never pushed the whole, oh, you're lighter, you're darker. Because my sister, for some reason, my sister, who was born here in the US, although we have the same mom and dad, she was lighter. I'm not sure why. Maybe because of the Haiti sun. Maybe because of the Haiti sun, I'm a little darker. And that's fine. That's okay. We're still sisters. We came from the same mom. And I've never been treated any less. My other sister's never been treated any less because we are lighter or darker than my other sister. Like my mom, she is super, super light. But my dad is dark. And he thought she was the best looking woman in the world. She is the best looking woman in the world. People do have their standards, and they have their preference, and that's okay. If you have your standards and your preference, some guy just walked by. I think he saw me filming. Anyways, people have their preference, and that's okay. Just like with me, I don't date certain guys, and that's okay. But you're not going to project your preference on me just because you don't like the way that I look, or you don't like the type of girls that look like me. For example, people will say that dark-skinned women have a lot of attitude. That's not true. I don't have attitude. I don't think I do. I mean, I can if I need to, but I don't have attitude at all. And I'm a dark-skinned woman. Not everybody's the same. And for people who, for example, a lot of black men, they date white girls. That's fine. You can date a white girl, but that doesn't mean you have to put a dark-skinned woman down just because you date white girls. It's something within you. It's an internal thing that you, for example, don't like your skin color enough, because at the end of the day, your mom is black, your mom is dark skinned, your dad is dark skinned, probably, and your sisters are dark skinned, but you hate that dark skin so much that you have, so therefore you go the other side to the other side because you feel like you will get better. That's usually not always the case, but if it is, good for you. And so therefore you cannot try to project that on me because you feel some type of way about yourself. So like I said before, people will treat you how you allow them to treat you. Just because you're a dark-skinned woman does not make you any less beautiful than the next woman out there. So if you have to get new wigs, you have to get some makeup, you put your makeup on, and you just go about your business. And those guys who, for example, will come up to you and try to approach you, but if you reject them, all of a sudden you're ugly. Well, 2 minutes ago you're just trying to get with me, so because my standards are too high, so now I'm ugly. And that's okay. That's okay. The next time you come at me, or if you ever come at me again, or if your homeboy try to come at me again, they'll come correct, because they know that I do not accept anything. So ladies, dark-skinned women out there, another thing I wanted to mention, when it comes to like people having preference, if you go to like South Sudan, I think it is South Sudan, where they literally will have you sunbathe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm definitely for sure think it's South Sudan. They will have you sunbathe because the darker, the better. Yeah, like it all depends on where you are. If you go overseas, they might think you're a goddess walking. As a matter of fact, you are. Everywhere you are, you're a goddess. But they might think you're like the best thing since sliced bread. The best thing because of your skin color. Okay? So don't let people over here try to trick you to think that you're not beautiful because you're dark skinned. Don't let people over here try to make you feel less than because you're dark skinned. And no, ever in your life, except the whole "you're pretty for a dark skin" comment. That's not a comment. That's not a compliment. No comment. That's not a compliment. When somebody tells you you're pretty for a dark skin, that means there's an exception to the rules with you. And there's no exception to any rules. Not gonna say they're not gonna be ugly dark skinned girls, or pretty dark skinned girls, or ugly light skinned girls, or pretty light skinned girls. There's plenty of those out there. But if you feel like you're not comfortable enough in your skin, change it. I'm not for I'm not for the whole skin bleaching, but if you feel like that's what you need to do, you do it. And if you don't agree with skin bleaching, but you don't like the skin that you're in, what are you gonna do? Well, you're gonna change your whole life because people, or you're going to bury yourself in a hole because you're too dark to live your life? No, you're going to accept it because there's nothing else you can do. You did not choose the skin that you were born in, so therefore you're going to accept it and work with it. That's what you're gonna do. You're not going to let people just talk to you however they want, or just treat you differently, or not treat you well in a relationship because you're darker. If you feel like you can get darker man or black man to date you because you probably live around people, or you probably hang around a lot of black men who feel like dark skinned women are not pretty enough, then go to the other side. You're going to find someone who likes you. It doesn't matter your skin color. You're going to find somebody who likes you. So therefore, you go where you're appreciated. You go where you're celebrated. You do not have to settle for nothing. Just know that you're pretty enough, okay? Just know that just because you're dark skinned does not mean you're not good looking, honey. You are good looking. Like I said, get some makeup if you have to. Get a wig if you have to. Let your natural hair grow. Listen to some mantras. Tell yourself you're beautiful. If you don't believe that you are beautiful, tell yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and remind yourself of how good looking you are. Remind yourself of how blessed you are to have this melanin. Because I tell you what, melanin is the most sought after thing in the United States, sought after thing in the world. People need melanin. Do not change your melanin skin because some idiot don't think you're cute enough because you're dark. No. Do you know that it says that people with melanin, I'm reading this book, it's called Melanin Empath. It says that people with melanin have a higher chance of fighting different diseases. Did you know that? People with melanin have a bigger pineal gland. Did you know that? People with melanin can fight a lot of different diseases, and that's all thanks to your melanin. You are protected from the sun because of your melanin. There's so many things that is behind that melanin skin that a lot of people don't even realize. So the next time somebody tell you, well, you're not cute enough because you're black, well, you just say that, honey, at least I don't get sick as quick as other people do. My skin is protected from the sun. I don't get sunburn, right? And you also stay younger longer. Just remind yourself of all of those positive things that come with you being dark skinned. Always remind yourself. Always remind people, because some people don't know that. Some people do not know that. So therefore, you sometimes have to remind them. And if you don't know that, this is your reminder that your skin, your dark skin, is more precious than you can ever, ever, ever imagine. So just remember that the next time somebody wants to tell you something. I have a previous video, a few videos ago, where I mentioned that my mom has a store and she sells bleaching creams. And we used to mix the bleaching cream for people. They would pay her extra just so I want my shoulder down like that. Just so she can mix all the different chemicals, which is very dangerous, mind you. This is like a science project where you're mixing different chemicals, and that chemical is going on the people's skin. They're removing that first layer, that second layer, that third layer of their dark skin so they can be lighter. That's their preference. That's what they want to do. So be it. You know, that's exactly what they want to do. They pay my mom big money to do it. But there's this one lady that walked into her store one day, excuse me, and told her, walked into her store, and I was there, I was helping out, and the lady basically told me, oh wow, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, why don't you use some of your mom's cream so you can put on your feet, or so you can put on your skin, to be a little bit lighter. I looked her up dead in her eyes and said, excuse me, did I tell you there was something wrong with my skin? Did I tell you I had a problem with the way that I looked? I told her straight up, and she was my mom's customer. It was probably a little bit embarrassed for my mom, because I stood up for myself, but I'm not going to just let anybody talk to me any kind of way, especially from someone who doesn't even like themselves. You don't like yourself, you don't like how you look, but you want to tell me what I should do with my skin? No, darling, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So therefore, the next time somebody tells you that, oh, maybe you should bleach your skin, or you should do this, or you should do that because you're too dark, you remind them that you don't have a problem with your skin color. They might have a problem with it, but you don't. You don't. So therefore, you don't have to deal with that. Okay? That is my little advice. Wow, my ear's ringing. Oh my God, my ear's ringing. It just started ringing like right now. That's so weird. Okay, so that lets me know that the advice that I'm giving to you guys is good and is going to help a few people. I hope it does. And if it doesn't, maybe you have a friend who goes through stuff like that on a daily basis and they just need that little pep talk. They just need to hear it from somebody else. Anyways, guys, this is where I finished the video. I'm kind of hungry, so I'm gonna go find something to eat. Later. Oh my God, it's still recording. No way. Excuse me, guys. Oh,